This building was completed in 1985, and this hall has got a seating capacity of 500. It serves two purposes. It is the regular meeting place of the National Assembly of Pakistan, and it also houses when the two houses of the parliament, because the Parliament of Pakistan is a bicameral parliament, when the two houses are assembled together. So it serves dual purpose. It is the seat of the parliament as well as the seat of the National Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, Raja Parvez Ashraf, accompanied by the President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Excellency Rodri Pacheco, and the convener of the SDGs Task Force in the National Assembly and the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister, Ms. Rumina Khurshid Alam. Honorable Speaker, National Assembly of Pakistan, do I have your permission to start the proceedings of the session? We begin with the recitation from the Holy Quran. May I request Qari Sayyid Sadaqat Ali to recite a few verses from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم. Translation: O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that ye may know each other. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of God is he who is the most righteous of you, and God has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. Amen. Thank you.
Jazakallah. Honorable Speaker, National Assembly of Pakistan, Raja Parvez Ashraf, Excellency Dorte Pachihu, President of the Interparliamentary Union, Ms. Zumina Khurshid Alam, Convener of the SDGs Parliamentary Task Force and the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister, distinguished leaders of the delegations of the Asia-Pacific Group of the Interparliamentary Union, honorable parliamentarians, guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Assembly of Pakistan, it is my privilege to welcome you all at the third regional seminar for the Asia-Pacific Region Parliaments on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, this regional seminar takes place at a time when Pakistan has been hit by the worst-case scenario of climate change, a fear that we all had felt and talked about last year when the IPU fraternity met at the pre-COP conference of IPU in Rome, September 2021. Flash floods, cloudbursts, glacial lake bursts, and unprecedented rains in the arid zones. We had all in one go. This shows well that the planet Earth, our common heritage, is in severe danger, and this danger knows no borders. A short video clip on this environmental degradation and its impact is being played for your kind attention.
Losses and damages due to torrential rains and deluge in Pakistan are colossal. Over 116 districts of the country are inundated with floods. The whole area looks like an ocean with no horizon. Nothing like this has been seen before. Over 3,000 men, women, and children have died. Millions have become homeless. Around 1 million people are living in tent cities in Sindh, KP, Balochistan, and Punjab. 90% crops have been destroyed. Road and rail infrastructure is in shambles. Rich countries are predominantly responsible for dystopian climate breakdown in Pakistan. They have broken their promises of reducing carbon emissions. Shying away from extending a helping hand to adapt to the global climatic change, particularly in the developing countries. So much loss and damage with so little reparations. Such callous attitude is tantamount to jeopardizing global commitments of attaining sustainable peace and prosperity.
Women constitute 48.5% of our population, yet they are 14 times more likely than men to suffer during natural disasters. The ongoing climate catastrophe in Pakistan has left women worse off. It's harder for women, for widows, for orphans. 18-year-old Rubina, who is 7 months pregnant, hasn't received proper food for 2 weeks. Mubina's husband, who she says is a drug addict, saved only himself and ran off. Pregnancies and childbirth couldn't wait for emergencies or natural disasters to be over. Mandam Ali, 21, 7 months pregnant, is suffering from backache and cough. Of the 700,000 pregnant women, 73,000 are expected to deliver next month. With lack of skilled birth attendants, privacy, and birth facilities, the survival of the mother and the newborn will be at risk. Millions of displaced and destitute women are reeling from the record floods. Gender-based violence shall rise. Many million girls may never return to schools. Locked toilets, a lack of sanitary items, access to clean water, bathrooms, and 2 meals a day have become a luxury. Women's lives right now are a grab bag of uncertainties. Women's well-being, health, and dignity are at stake. Without external aid, they cannot rebuild, they cannot survive, let alone thrive.
Children account for over 15 million people affected by the catastrophic floods in Pakistan. With 400 children already dead, this child urges you to kill no more. 25 million children already out of school, with 18,000 schools destroyed. This girl may never return to her classroom. This child may set with the setting sun. This child may starve to death. These innocent eyes are yearning for your love and support. These delicate arms are waiting to be embraced. This helpless mother is aching for a helping hand. This father may succumb to the guilt of not being able to provide for his family. Thousands from their parents have separated. 160 bridges have been destroyed and 3,200 miles of road damaged. Identify, protect, and ultimately reunite these children with their families. Be the bridge. Childcare and hospitals need salvage. The dangers of mosquitoes, snake bites, skin and respiratory diseases, diarrhea, cholera, all the diseases you can imagine will ravage. These children, who may not even be aware of how climate change can be worse than wars, and yet may be the ones to bear the brunt of savage monsoon downpours. Bring back the light to their eyes and lost smiles back on their foe. The thoughts of winter fast approaching should send shivers down your spine. Rescue and relief is a must, as a stitch in time certainly saves 9. Let's not make it a million more broken promises. It's our child today. Tomorrow, it could be yours. Act now.
3,000 died, millions homeless, and an accumulated damage of over 18 billion US dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request the convener of the SDGs Task Force in the Parliament of Pakistan, Madam Rumina Khurshid Alam, for her welcome address.
Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, Raja Parvez Ashraf, Honorable Mr. Dautre Paisho, President of the IPU, my senior leadership, Excellencies, worthy members of the Parliament, and delegates from the Asia-Pacific countries. Assalamu alaikum and sincerest greetings to you all, ladies and gentlemen. It's my profound honor and pleasure as the convener of Pakistan's National Parliamentary Task Force on Sustainable Development Goals to welcome you all to the inaugural session of the third regional seminar for the Asia-Pacific region Parliaments on Achieving the SDGs. This morning, I take this opportunity to share my passion for the 2030 Agenda and, more importantly, the mutual passion of 36 countries of the Asia-Pacific region for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, can do for humanity. I thank the Honorable Speaker, National Assembly of Pakistan, Raja Parvez Ashraf Sahab, the Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mian Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif, for his confidence in me to serve this cause, which remains immensely close to my heart. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets for which indicators exist and monitoring system are being set as the basis of a new social contract between the world's leaders and their people. It's indeed a historic occasion that we have with us Committee of National and International Excellencies, who are beacon light with regards to their dedication and consistent service for achievements for the SDGs. Besides the daunting challenges posed during last 3 years in the shape of COVID-19 pandemic, disasters caused due to climate change, and internal and external displacement due to the conflict of the war. We have also been joined by the President of the Inter-Parliamentarian Union, IPU, who is a champion of the people's rights on the SDGs. His contribution in advocating and leading urge for implementation of SDGs by example bring to much hope for all the elected representatives and experts from the Asia-Pacific countries. Iran, the Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Republic of Korea, China, and all those who have joined us virtually. Please join me on behalf of the Parliament of Pakistan in putting our hands together and applauding the presence of all. Worthy leaders and delegates from the Asia-Pacific region. Ladies and gentlemen, SDGs are about the survival of the human race, happiness and prosperity of our resilient common future. We cannot overlook the shocking common challenges that require our foremost intention, followed by the quickest action to meet the targets. We live in a world where severe poverty and hardship coexist with extreme wealth. Climate change, as a consequence of fatal carbon emission from industrial waste, is playing havoc in developing nations in the form of flash floods triggered by melting glaciers. Maternal and child mortality are unacceptably high. Millions of our children are out of school. Girls and women still await equal opportunities. We stand at a crossroad, and the generation to come will never forgive us. If we do not deliver today and together, do remember, I must say, it's now or never. In the context of this seminar, jointly organized by the Interparliamentarian Union, IPU, and the National Assembly of Pakistan aims to working together amongst Asia-Pacific countries on devising ways and means to achieving sustainable prosperity while leaving no one behind. The two-day program covers all essential aspects of Agenda 2030, comprising plenary sessions on SDGs implementation in the Asia-Pacific region mechanism and practice to institutionalization, SDGs. Women at the center of the development agenda and building resilience to preserve our common future. In addition, there will be breakout sessions on ending hunger and malnutrition, equality, education, and equitable access to health. It's a right time, ladies and gentlemen, to strengthen the region of Asia-Pacific by building up a networking group for joint working in tracking the challenges we face, and SDG Secretariat of Pakistan takes great pride in being the center of collaboration. And it is our ambition to protect biodiversity, achieve gender equality and poverty and hunger, and fulfill the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals and taking lead in these initiatives. We request the IPU President Secretariat as well to facilitate this effort to streamline and align the countries in this cause. Excellencies, the climate breakdown in Pakistan has a huge impact on Pakistan, in which many suffered and are still in a massive crisis. Previously, Pakistan suffered from these floods. Pakistan has long been considered one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change in the world. But we will not be beaten today. It's Pakistan tomorrow. It can be someone else. But we must not sit back for it to happen somewhere else. We too must look beyond the current crisis and set our sights high as we strike out for a world of dignity and opportunity for all on a healthy planet. I thank the Honorable Speaker for his continuous support and dedication to achieving the SDGs and Agenda 2030. Together, Excellencies, together, let's make this decade of ambition a decade of transformation, a decade of hope and peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for your enlightening address. Babalu Neruda once said, and I quote, "Let the lakes of the world convert into broth and soup. Let all the stars become bread. Let all the strawberries soaked in cream and honey brought to my table. For I seek no more justice than the justice to eat. Hunger, poverty, displacement, illiteracy, disease, maternal mortality. Climate change has adverse effects in so many ways. How are we, the Asia-Pacific countries, going to achieve the SDG goals? It becomes further harder a challenge in wake of climate change. May I request the President of the Interparliamentary Union, Excellency Dorothy Pacheco, for his address.
Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan, dear friend, Honorable Mrs. Romina Alam, convener of the National Assembly Task Force on SDGs, Ministers, Deputy Speaker, dear colleagues, parliamentarians, diplomats, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me, as President of IPU, to address you at the beginning of the seminar about SDGs, how to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for parliamentarians of the Asian Pacific Group. 1 month ago, I opened a seminar similar in Latin America. Now, here in Pakistan, to talk about the same item to the countries of Asia Pacific. It shows that SDGs, it's really important. And it's really important to all humankind, to all countries of the world. And in this special moment, it is impossible to talk about SDGs without express a word of solidarity with the people and authorities of Pakistan after a catastrophe that happened the last days. We have seen here something that never happened in Pakistan. Affected 30 million of people. 30 million of people. Many of our countries will not have altogether this population. People was displaced. 3,000 people died. Men, women, children. The economy was destroyed. Infrastructures completely destroyed. Climate change, it's real, not something academic. Not something that we can talk about in our books, that may happen one day. The consequences of climate change, it's here and affecting people like you, like many others across the world. And so, solidarity is important. And is important special to the people that suffer. The condolences to the family is important. But we need to talk also about how to help Pakistan to recover from this catastrophe. And this is one obligation of all countries of the world, especially of the developed countries, to help Pakistan to recover from this catastrophe. Because the contribution of Pakistan to climate change is too small. But the consequences are too big. And so, the biggest economies of the world that has more contributions to the climate change need to understand they need to change for the future, and they need to help Pakistan right now. And we need to say that. We need to say that once, again, 3 times, so many times as it will be needed, until we achieve a change in our behavior, and especially a change on the behavior of the developed countries of our world. Also, this catastrophe shows that SDGs, it's real important. And I need to say thank you to you, Mr. Speaker, to the National Assembly of Pakistan, for your compromise to achieve it, and for your compromise to realize this event, this seminar to the countries of the Asian Pacific Group. It happened because you are real committed to achieve the SDGs. And I saw yesterday that you have a real commitment, not just on moments of joy, but day by day, with a task force that will work every day, evaluating what are the steps that are doing, what are the results, what is needed to change, what is needed to achieve, day by day, because this is a work that will be needed to be done every day. Otherwise, we will forget it, and especially the governments will forget it because they have so many urgent issues to address. So, again, thank you so much for your commitment to organize the seminar on SDGs to the Asian Pacific Group. Also because you understand, Mr. Speaker, and your Parliament, that this task is global. You may have a real commitment, but alone the results will not be what we are waiting for, what we wish. We all live in a very small home. Our planet is our own. We need to understand that. And only if we all work together, we will preserve it. Otherwise, Pakistan may do everything that is on their hands, but the consequences will not be enough. Only with the commitment of all countries of the world, it will be possible to have a change and to achieve the SDGs. And so, it's important to organize it here to countries of Asia-Pacific Group, one day in Africa to the African countries, other day in Europe to the European countries as well. And especially in this moment, it's very important to remember the commitments of our governments to achieve SDGs. Because during the last 2 years, we suffered with an awful pandemic. This pandemic showed to all of us as well how small is our world and how a small virus one day appeared in Asia and very soon cross all the borders and affect all humankind. It shows how small our world is, yes, but also it took our attention. And all our governments spread their energies to fight the pandemic and now are waiting for a recovery of our economy. And maybe the SDGs was remain for a second stage. So it's important to come back. To come back, especially in this moment, to say, now that we are preparing the recovery of our economies, of our societies after the pandemic, it's very important to remember the compromise to achieve SDGs in all aspects: education, health, economy, just to give some examples. Because SDGs are important to fight inequalities, to fight poverty, to have a better world, and what we wish, happiness to the people we represent as parliamentarians. And yes, we parliamentarians, we have a special role. We have a special role because we represent the people. You represent people. And so people are waiting for your behavior to address this issue as well. When we approve the budget, when we define priorities to our own government, action, it means that we have power in our hands. It's not just to talk. It's much more than that. It's how we implement the measures that are important to achieve SDGs. I believe that during these 2 days, you will work on that. Learn with each other, share experiences, drink all the knowledge that a lot of experts will share with all of us. But after it is important, when we will come back to our countries, to do everything to implement concrete actions to achieve SDGs. I believe that will happen because we understood with also this catastrophe here in Pakistan that we need to act now. There is no tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your very enlightening address. The Parliaments of Asia Pacific, and especially Pakistan, look forward for your leading role in keeping this important issue alive. And with this, may I also draw your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to the presence of persons with disabilities in this august house. As a matter of fact, during these devastating moments, there have been incidences where persons with disabilities could not be evacuated and they were left behind. So again, these catastrophes must be taken in the spirit that we must not leave anyone behind. As we all watched the horrifying scenes of devastation brought by rains and floods across Pakistan, verses of Javed Akhtar echoed our minds. कहीं दरिया किनारे कोई बस्ती रो रही है, मैं इतनी दूर हूं और मुझको वहशत हो रही है. Somewhere on the banks of a river, a village is wailing. I'm far away, and yet I'm shivering. I request the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan and the host of the 3rd IPU Regional Seminar on Achieving Sustainable Development Goals for his inaugural address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Mr. Duarte Pechu, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Ms. Rumina Khurshid Alam, Convener National Parliamentary Task Force on SDGs, distinguished members of Parliament, and delegates from the Asia-Pacific countries. Assalamu alaikum and a very pleasant good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the fellow parliamentarians from the Asia-Pacific countries at the 3rd Regional Seminar for the Asia-Pacific region, Parliaments on Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in our capital city, Islamabad. I also take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Mr. Duarte Pechu, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, and the entire IPU team for their tireless support to the National Assembly of Pakistan and its National Parliamentary Task Force on SDGs in jointly organizing this important seminar. The Inter-Parliamentary Union, established in 1889, remains a key institution of global parliamentary community working for its mission of inclusive democracy. The two-day international seminar will help MPs and delegates from the region to deliberate upon a wide spectrum of related thematic sessions on imperative topics such as envisioning inclusive development in the wake of socio-economic challenges of the Asia-Pacific region, climate change, hunger and malnutrition, promoting quality education and decent work for youth, and ensuring equitable access to health, and for us legislators to understand our role in ensuring effective mitigation of climate change adversities in this region. The seminar provides us a very timely opportunity to reassess the national and regional strategies towards achieving the SDGs till 2030 in wake of huge socio-economic jolt to our countries due to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially with the challenges of providing decent work, equitable health, and ensuring food security in a world marred by adverse effects of climate change in the form of extreme drought in some regions, while flash floods in others. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan hosts this crucial seminar for the Asia-Pacific nation at a critical juncture, as only a few days ago we faced record monsoon rains and melting glaciers in northern mountains that triggered floods, which have killed more than 1,300 people, displaced 33 million people, sweeping away houses, roads, railway tracks, bridges, livestock, and crops worth around 30 billion United States dollars. I would urge upon all participants to avail this opportunity to especially focus their deliberations on this grave global climate change challenge to human security. The floods come as the climate emergency continues to wreak havoc across the globe. Europe is confronting its worst drought in 500 years. China is facing an unprecedented heat wave that has dried up rivers and lakes, while in Mississippi, USA, residents were told to evacuate the city as it braces for more flooding. The Climate Change Risk Index of 2021 reports that Pakistan is ranked 8th among countries most vulnerable to climate crisis, despite contributing less than 1% to global carbon emissions. The United Nations Secretary General, Honorable Antonio, who visited our flood-ravaged areas on the weekend, said, I quote, "It is unimaginable. Today it is Pakistan. Tomorrow it could be your country. Wherever you live, this is a global crisis. It requires a global response." He identified a two-pronged strategy to prevent such catastrophic effects of climate change. Firstly, he called upon G20 countries to immediately boost their national greenhouse gas emission reduction targets every year. Secondly, the Secretary General also called for new mechanism for debt relief for climate vulnerable countries such as Pakistan. He was advocating for debt swap, in which the debtor nations, instead of continuing to make external debt payments, would make payments to finance climate projects at home. He urged for prompt action by the international community, especially the elected representative world over. As he concluded, it is a question of justice. Pakistan is paying the price of something that was created by others. The irreparable loss of precious lives and destruction of even the basic infrastructure such as roads, houses, schools, and basic health units by the recent floods makes it imperative for the Parliament of Pakistan to leave no stone unturned in our efforts of rescue, rehabilitation, and rebuilding. I ensure that the National Assembly of Pakistan will continue to perform a proactive role in a passionate IPU member state through consolidation of joint endeavors for strengthening the democratic tradition in Asia-Pacific region, including but not limited to introducing innovative parliamentary mechanism for institutionalizing the 2030 development agenda. The parliaments are the citadel of people's aspirations that utilize their recognized authority through numerous parliamentary tools of representation, legislation, and oversight of the executive, especially with regards to human emancipation of vulnerable strata of society. In this context, I am looking forward to this seminar's conclusive outcome for the benefits and mutual good of all people living in the Asia-Pacific region at large. Lastly, on behalf of the people and the Parliament of Pakistan, I wish success to all the learned members of Parliament from the Asia-Pacific region, the parliamentary delegations, all national as well as international dignitaries, and area experts attending the third regional seminars for the Asia-Pacific region Parliament on achieving the SDGs. I look forward and hope the outcome document of the seminar will surely provide concrete way forward on all of the crucial themes under discussion, especially with regards to the dire threat of global climate change that endangers people beyond borders and nationalities. Long live our continued passion and joint endeavors towards an integrated set of way forward for implementation of SDGs besides the challenges posed by natural calamities, man-made disasters, and the COVID-19 pandemic. I thank you all once again, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan Zindabad. Well, I have been, honorable guests, I bring into your kind notice that we have discussed with the IPU president to bring emergency agenda item at the next IPU General Assembly in Rwanda to highlight developing countries of endanger of climate change, negative effects on their economies, and responsibility of the rich nations to take corrective actions. And I am grateful to the President that he has accepted to help us to bring this agenda item. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the endeavor of bringing an emergency item at Kigali, Rwanda next month is indeed going to be a turning point for all the developing nations, and we must shed our mutual differences and join hands on this important issue so as to highlight the plight of our people, irrespective of our borders, languages, races, or our countries. With this, ladies and gentlemen, this inaugural ceremony comes to its close. We will break for tea, after which we'll reassemble in the designated committee rooms as well as in this hall for our breakout sessions. I thank you all. We will have a group photo right in front of the podium. May I request all the delegates from the Asia-Pacific region and the honorable parliamentarians from Pakistan to kindly assemble in front of the dais so that the honorable speaker and the president of the IPU may join you. Congratulations.
खासाए खासानी रसूल वक्त दुआ है उम्मत पे तेरी आके अजब वक्त पड़ा है हमारी पाक सरजमीन से गुजर रही है हालिया सैलाब से करोड़ों की तादाद में हमारे पाकिस्तानी कुंबे
The honorable ambassadors, excellencies from the IPU nations who are here, and our guest ambassadors, you may please also join.
Recording stopped.